Up by the title of this video. It is called 9/11 and 9/11 Tribute. Let's get started. Remembering September 11th. On September 11th, 2001, people in New York City woke up to a beautiful late summer day. It was a Tuesday and people were preparing for another day at work and school. Thousands of people headed for the World Trade Center and complex of 7 buildings that included a pair of skyscrapers known as the Twin Towers. Each tower had 110 stories and stood about 1,360 feet high, the tallest buildings in New York City. At the time, the Twin Towers above the city's downtown skyline, nobody there knew that in just a few hours both buildings would fall. A shocking event. People who live in New York are used to seeing and hearing airplanes flying overhead. But on the morning of September 11th, people stopped on the streets and looked up. The sounds of an approaching airplane was too loud and the plane seemed to be flying too low. To the horror of people watching below, the airplanes flew straight into one of the twin towers of the World Trade Center. American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower at 8:46 p.m. The impact of the crash tore a hole that stretched from the 93rd to the 99th floor of the building. Smoke and flames poured out the tower. Many people thought that they had just seen a terrible accident, but 17 minutes later, a sound plane flew into another one of the World Trade Center buildings, this time into the South Tower. United States Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the 77th through 85th floor of the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. Some cell phones and TV station cameras caught the sound attacks on film. The footage was played over and over again on television. Soon people knew that hijackers, individuals who capture on aircraft, ships, or vehicles by force, had taken over the planes. A group of men had taken control of the cockpit of each airplane and flown them into the buildings on purpose. The attack continues. The United States was under attack about a half an hour after the second tower was struck and New York City's hijacker crashed. A third airplane, American Airlines Flight 77, hit the west side of the Pentagon and a 5-second concrete building that services the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense in Virginia, just outside the Washington, D.C. The planes flew, tanks exploded, and 2 giant fireballs blasted into the air. The United States government ordered all airplanes flying over the country to land as soon as possible. But it was too late for United States Airlines Flight 93 hijackers had already taken control of this fourth aircraft. They were flying the airplane toward Washington, D.C. Passengers and crew members on the airplane called loved ones who told them about the other attacks in New York and Virginia. People on Flight 93 thought their aircraft would be used as a weapon too, so they fought the hijackers to try to get control of the airplanes. In a phone call recorded as passengers and crew began to fight back, passengers heard people saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" on the phone. Flight 93 eventually crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The crash site was close to the hijackers' likely target, a government building in Washington, D.C. The rescue begins. Back in New York City, dark smoke poured from the Twin Towers. People rushed to escape the area, which later became known as Ground Zero. First responders, including police officers, firefighters, and paramedics, arrived within minutes of the first attack on the World Trade Center. They rushed into both towers to help people trapped inside, even though it would be extremely difficult rescue operation. Almost all the elevators in the Twin Towers had stopped working, so rescuers started climbing up the stairs of the towers, but many were blocked by rubble or fire. Still, firefighters roached ahead, ignoring the danger. The towers fall. When the airplanes hit the Twin Towers, they caused massive damage. Concrete floors cut into. Floors above the crash site started to sag downward. Meanwhile, the sprinklers in both buildings were damaged. There was nothing to stop the range of fires, which became hot enough to weaken steel. The buildings grew unstoppable, then they collapsed. The South Tower fell first. Once it began to crumble, it took only 10 seconds for it to collapse. The impact caused the North Tower to shake, and it too crumbled to the ground 29 minutes later. First responders helped many people before the Twin Towers collapsed. More than 25,000 made it out of the building before they fell. But nearly 3,000 people from the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and the four airplanes died in the attack that day. Official responses. The events of the September 11, 2001 shook the nation. The United States government had to respond. President George Washington Bush led the country in a day of prayer and remembrance. Then he led the nation's effort to find and punish the people who caused the attacks. A tourist group based in Afghanistan, a country in the Middle East, claimed responsibility for the 9/11 attacks. Their leader was Osama bin Laden. Considered the United States to be their enemy, which is why the hijackers used the airplanes to attack important U.S. buildings. In total, 19 hijackers took over the four planes that crashed on 9/11. World leaders promised to help the United States push local leaders. In October 2001, the United States and its allies started military actions on Afghanistan, searching for members of the group who worked with bin Laden to plan and carry out the 9/11 attacks. It would take nearly 10 years for those forces to locate and kill bin Laden himself, who was eventually discovered hiding in nearby Pakistan in 2011. Banding together. Although 9/11 attacks place in the United States, many people from other countries felt that the terrorist attack on such a powerful nation was a treat to peace around was a threat to peace around the world. They brought flowers to U.S. embassies and lit candles to honor the victims. They gathered to sing the Star Spangled Banner. After the attack, many people in the United States wanted to show their country too. They gave flowers, candles, food, and thank you notes to first responders, which residents and organizations also donated a record-breaking $2.8 billion to help the families of the victims of the attacks. By the end of 2001, more than 300 U.S. charities were raising money for the cause. Most Americans tried to help others after 9/11, but some people took their anger and fear out on people who looked like they came from the same Middle Eastern countries as hijackers. Innocent people who had nothing to do with the events of 9/11 were attacked and treated unfairly. 20 years later, a lot has changed. Since September 11, 2001, to prevent simple terrorist attacks from happening in the country, in the United States government created the Department of Homeland Security in 2002. The organization is responsible for the border security, immigration, and customs, and disaster relief and prevention, but they also keep a close watch over suspected tourist groups and send warnings if they think the country and its people are in danger. The way the government can protect them, air travel becomes secure. After 9/11, before the attacks, private security companies performed all airport screenings after September 11th. The Transportation Security Administration (TSA) was created to give the federal government direct responsibility for all airport screenings in 2002. The TSA began using explosive detection systems nationwide to screen all bags for explosives. They also installed more advanced technologies such as the full body scanner to ensure travelers weren't trying to bring anything harmful on an airplane. The hijackers used weapons they had carried on board to gain control of the aircraft. Otherwise, like using small containers for liquid like shampoos or removing shoes during security checks, were put in place to make sure people didn't sneak dangerous things on board. The United States also entered a long war on terror aboard. In addition, sending troops to Afghanistan, Bush also sent troops to Iraq in 2002 because of rumors that the country was hiding dangerous weapons. By the same Barack by the time Barack Obama was elected president in 2008, some 4,000 to 500 American soldiers had died in Afghanistan and Iraq, with many thousands were wounded. Many Americans felt the loss of life wasn't worth it. Bin Laden was still missing and no weapons were ever found. But in 2011, Bin Laden was finally located and killed. His death was a blow. Located and was killed. I remember that day clearly. His death gave some U.S. citizens hope that progress was being made in the fight against terrorism. By the end of 2011, Obama had withdrawn all the combat troops from Iraq, but U.S. troops were still fighting in Afghanistan by the end of his second term in 2017 and other terrorist groups. The Islamic State of Iraq and ISIS threatened the region throughout Obama's presidency and into Donald Trump's single term as president, too. During Trump's term in office, he announced the removal of troops from Afghanistan by May 1st, 2021. Trump's successor, Joe Biden, delayed the removal, announcing that the United States would be removing all troops from Afghanistan by August 31st instead, just before the 20-year anniversary of 9/11 attack. Honoring the Victims Memorial now stands to pay tribute to those who lost their lives in September 11, 2001. The 9/11 Memorial Museum in New York City contains pools set within each area where the Twin Towers stood. The names of all the 9/11 victims from each tower are are subscribed in bronze panels at the National 9/11 Pentagon Memorial. Each of the 184 benches is dedicated to a victim of Virginia's attack. In the Tower of Voices at the Flight 93 National Memorial in Pennsylvania has 40 wind chimes to honor the plane's passengers and crews. The attack on September 11, 2001 shook the world by storm and made people realize that even powerful country like the United States could be a victim of terrorism. But the horrific event also brought America closer together, as U.S. Senator John Kerry said at the time. It was the worst day we have ever seen, but it brought out the best in all of us. Now, with that being said, I am going to do a moment of silence for all of the people, all of the families that were hurt by this, all of the people that have died, all of the people who are still living that were in this, all of the EMTs, medical teams, firefighters, police officers, pedestrians that tried to help. I'm going to do a 3-minute timer for all of them, a moment of silence. And then after that, I will play a song for you guys. A little tribute song that I do not have any rights to. And I'm going to play it for you guys, and then I will end the video at that. I hope this video has, really helped you in understanding 9/11. And what I wanted to say before I do the 3-minute moment of silence is, just because you see somebody that may look like somebody does not mean you discriminate them and you put all your anger towards them, because guess what? You don't know, that person could be the nicest person in the world. You don't know that. And you can mess somebody's day up by doing that. So don't take your anger out on somebody who you think looks like somebody else. Don't do that. So, hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes. Just so you guys can see, my timer is going for 3 minutes. Moment of silence. So I hope you guys did that, my moment of silence with me. Like I said, I'm about to do a tribute song. Like I said, um, so let's get into this tribute song. I hope you enjoy it. I have no rights to this song whatsoever, but in the description down below, it will definitely be a website to get more info and definitely a link to this song. So let's get started. It's called America Will Always Stand, Randy Travis. I will have it playing and I will show you on my phone because it is a beautiful, beautiful video. Let's get started.
face of evil and will not lose hope or faith. America, the land of freedom, is still the home of the brave. So raise the banner, called on glory. Let us join our fellow man. History will write the story. America will always stand. Walking through the fires of danger, there are those who gave their lives. They're the world's greatest heroes, and we won't forget their sacrifice. So raise the banner, all of glory. Let us join our fellow man. History will write the story. America will always stand. America is not divided. Our enemies, they will be stopped. 'Cause we the people are united, and still one nation under God. So raise the banner, call of glory. Let us join our fellow man. History will write the story. America always stand. History will write the story. America will always stand.
Okay, so I played that video that I have no rights to. It is called, one second, let me pull it up on my cell phone. America Will Always Stand, Randy Travis. I thought that was a beautiful song to do a tribute for 9/11. Like I said, you may think this video is really, really long, and you may be like, I don't want to watch all that. I'm going to skip through. But I hope you really did that 3-minute moment of silence, and I hope you really watch through the whole entire video. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. I thought it was imperative. I thought it was meant for me to make this video for 9/11. So I hope you got a lot of information, and I definitely everywhere I got all of my information from, and the link for this video, well, the song called America Will Always Stand by Randy Travis will definitely be in the description down below. But until, goodbye, guys.